What's up, great people? I hope all is well with you guys. What's up, y'all? All right, today, uh, we are going to uh, speak about CPS and CTU. It's gonna be part of it, so we're gonna start out with, you know, with some of the scandals, as you know, or maybe some of you guys do not know, that we are protesting Chicago Teachers Union because we need some help, man. We need some help. We need to get the feds involved because they're out of control. They're out of control, and they're not going to continue to use our tax paying dollars and our kids for their weird ass. Sorry, their weird agenda. Good evening, Miss Susie. How you doing? So that's how we're going to talk about this. Chicago Public Schools isn't just struggling, it's a city run system on the brink of collapse. From luxury travel funded by taxpayers to mass school closures that devastated Black and Brown Latino neighborhoods, CPS is tangled in mismanagement, corruption, and the power of the Chicago machine. The Chicago machine isn't just about politics, it's about who controls the city's money, school, and influence. Unions, charter networks, city officials, and political strategists all play a part, often putting power over kids and family. My name is Zoe Leigh, founder of Chicago Fist Red, and I spent years exposing the real forces behind these failures, from union-driven politics to charter school networks, city contracts, and officials who profit while communities suffer. Um, Since 2023, I started paying attention to how broken the education system was because I was just looking at the crime in Chicago and just how bad it is. And the reason why it's bad is because it starts, of course, at home, but it also starts with the environment that's supposed to be a safe haven, like a school, is also your enemy as well, and teaching you and not teaching you anything on top of that, um, or willing to teach your kids something, but it would have to be for their own agenda, like protesting right now in the middle of the school day, or because it's midterms, they are working on putting in more CTU funded politicians who are no good for Chicago, no good for our kids, no good for the school system, no good for politics at all. So anybody that is CTU backed, like Chantel Franklin, Daniel Biss, Brian Central Lopez, Brandon Johnson, and a few others, which I'm going to get to, um, when it's time. From sexual abuse cover-ups to 23 million no-bid bribery schemes, from special education delays to transportation fraud, costing taxpayers hundreds of millions, CPS has a long history of scandals that put students and family at risk. Added mass school closures, COVID relief mismanagement, and union driven political spending. And you start to see why Chicago's public schools are not just struggling, they're a system where politics, power, and profit come first. This is a story of seven major CPS scandals, the leaders behind them, the leadership behind them, and the political network, including the Chicago machine that keeps it running. Um, as you know, Take this off. All right. Get to it. Pretty sure you guys have seen this. Start with hold on.
And developing today, Chicago Public Schools is under fire for what the Office of the Inspector General calls questionable and excessive spending on travel for CPS employees.
It includes lavish out-of-state conference stays and some trips abroad as well. Courtney Sisk is joining us here, digging into the details of this very interesting report. Courtney?
Well, for 2 years, the OIG investigated CPS travel spending. This 25-page report is filled with what they call severe travel abuses, in part fueled by federal COVID relief money and a broken travel expense process with no official oversight.
Since the pandemic and after CPS lifted its travel ban, costs skyrocketed. CPS spending on overnight travel expenses more than doubled.
8 schools used more than $142,000 of CPS funds to pay a vendor for 15 staff trips to Finland, Estonia, Egypt, and South Africa. But 13 of the 15 trips were not pre-approved, and one was even rejected, but the employees went anyways.
In instances when approval was sought, we found that CPS generally wasn't asking the fundamental question, is the cost worth it? Is this a good use of CPS funds?
In the particularly severe travel abuse section, one instance detailed a principal who booked a $400 per night suite for himself and his wife for a conference in Las Vegas. But the conference was at a separate hotel and started 2 days after their arrival and ended after they already left. Another shows a teacher spent $4,700 on a 7-day stay at a luxury Hawaiian resort for a 4-day seminar. 600 employees spent $1.5 million of taxpayer funds on out-of-town seminars between 2022 and 2024. But when that conference was offered virtually, only one employee attended. The most expensive student trip was to South Africa, averaging more than $5,200 per person. The report says for that amount, the particular school could have funded the salary and benefits of 2 teachers for a year.
CPS was not monitoring or tracking these expenditures.
CPS has now restricted employee travel and formed a travel review committee effective this month. And prior to this, CPS officials admitted no one had conducted annual checks on travel costs. The inspectors say CPS is taking this seriously, and they really hope this report will help save the district significant funds. And of course, as you can imagine, this is a
Now, a third of Chicago public schools are half empty or worse. Okay. But y'all taking trips out of come on. Hotel rooms costed $945 per night. Anniversary trips to Las Vegas. South African safaris. Nearly $5,000 for trips to Hawaii. A grand total of, drum roll please, $23.6 million in 6 years, all at taxpayers' expense. Y'all want to see something? Let's put this graph out. So the Chicago Public Schools overnight travel expense. In 2019, they spent $3.6 million. In 2020, they spent $1.8 million. The pandemic, $300,000. Okay. Then in 2022, $3.4 million. 2023, $6.9 million. 2024, $7.7 million. Okay. Now, let me get this together for y'all. Now, these are Chicago public education results. Only 29% of all students are proficient in reading. Only 18% of students are proficient in math. Reading, white people, they're reading 60% of students. Asians, 58%. But when it comes to Black and Hispanics, Black is at 21%. Hispanic is at 24%. Black for math is at 9%. Hispanics is at 14%. Now, maybe I don't see nothing wrong with that, but it's a problem. Then you have 81% of students graduate. How? How is that even possible? Reading proficiency by grade is 21%. Only 21% of kids can read in third grade. Only, let's see what this say. Only 26% can read in grade 4. Only 27% can read in grade 5. In grade 6, only 35%. Grade 7, only 33%. Grade 8, only 39%. We're spending $29,000. It's up 39%. In 2019, we were spending $20,000. Now we're spending an extra $9,000. Student enrollment has declined, but these people out here striking and have demands. Have demands. That's crazy to me. Like that's absolutely nuts. Because of lax, vague, inadequate, and unenforced CPS travel rules, training and procedures, CPS employees excessively spent taxpayer money in many instances without approval. Luxurious vacations were filed as professional development conferences. While staffers were seeing Hawaii, students were seeing their achievements suffer. Only 2 in 5 CPS students can read at grade level, and about 1 in 4 perform math proficiently. The cost exploded when federal pandemic funds became available and loosened district budgets. The report stated those funds were intended to help students catch up academically after the Chicago Teachers Union used pandemic fears to force schools to remain closed for 78 weeks. Of the 23.6 million spent on travel, 14.5 million came in 2023 and 2024, enabled by those pandemic funds and mostly for out of town employee professional development or overnight student outings. Professional development was the excuse and lax oversight enabled the abuse. Spending in out of state travel included one teacher who took a 7-day, 4,700 trip to a luxury Hawaiian resort for a 4-day professional development seminar. There were many examples of stays extending past conference dates. Like this teacher right here, right? She needs to come up and y'all need to show me what her student grades is looking like. To think that she could take a 7-day, $4,700 Chicago tax-paying trip expense for a professional development seminar. We need her to come up to the front or him to come up to the front, or they, them, whatever this teacher is, and they're gonna have to show us the level, the grades, and the test scores of their children to make them think that we should have paid $4,700 for them to go to a luxury Hawaiian resort for a 4-day professional development seminar. Then you have the multiple thousand a person round trip domestic flights and room rates of 500 plus to over $900 a night. Those people we would like to bring to the front, and we would like to see their test scores as well, that they think that they can spend $1,000 person round trip domestic flights and room rates to 500 plus to over $900. Why did not they think that they could stay in a hostel? They should have been able to stay in a hostel. If they care that much, they should have used their money, or they should have went and got them a hostel or an Airbnb that they all could share, something like that. Private sedans via limo service to carry employees to and from Chicago airports. I would like them to bring in the private sedans and the limousine services just to ask them a few questions. But then I want to talk to the employees who felt the need that they needed a private sedan and a limo service to carry them to and from Chicago Airport, and they couldn't get on the CTA. Or they couldn't get them their own Uber. What made them think that they should be able to have a private limo service or private sedan when our kids can't even comprehend anything? They can't even comprehend what they're doing. 7 conferences in 2 years for one principal. So they need to bring the principal up to the front, because I want to know in all the 7 conferences, from visiting New York City, New Orleans, Orlando, Virginia, Philadelphia, Denver, and Dallas, what did she learn and how was her school performing overall that she needed 7 conferences in 2 years for one principal to go to all those places? And those are some dope places. Everybody, I rock in New York City. I love New Orleans, Orlando Poppin', Virginia, Philly, Denver, and Dallas. Bring the principal to the front and center so the parents can speak to them, so we can speak to the Chicago Fifth Red, because we have questions that the supporters may want to know, $50,000 for 24 employees of one school to attend a professional development conference in Las Vegas in 2024. Please bring all 24 employees of that one school. I want to know, how are the test scores going in their school, and I want to know, what were these professional development conferences about? Were they about communism? Were they about socialism? Because I know they're not about arithmetic. I know they're not about writing. I know they're not about reading. I know they're not about social studies. I know they're not about science. So what I want to know, what are the professional development conferences, and why did 24 employees from one school have to attend this one? I want to bring them 24 employees up to the front. A principal who decided to attend a 2023 Las Vegas conference at the last minute booked a hotel cost at $945 per night for a 3-night stay. Please bring that principal up to the front. We want to talk to them about why did they think that they could book a last minute hotel room at a cost of $945 per night. You might as well have rented out an apartment for the month. Bring the principal to the front. Then word spread about one vendor's seminars in Las Vegas. They love Vegas. Now, Vegas was Sin City for them. I want them to pull up the footage of all of the people that were on these slot machines and on these tables, because I know they didn't just go to Vegas for professional development conferences. I just know they had the way that they're spending money. So anyway, word spread about one vendor seminar in Las Vegas and others destinations, leading over to 600 staffers to spend $1.5 million attending them. Please bring the 600 staffers to the front. We want the 600 staffers to the front that spent $1.5 million attending them. Please. They stayed in 4- and 5-star hotels on the Las Vegas Strip. The Las Vegas Strip for over $400 a night. Please bring the 600 staffers. You want them, bring them to the front. When that same vendor offered the conference in Chicago, few attended. I bet they did. Why would they go to Chicago? Why would they go to a conference in Chicago when they can ball out in Vegas with our tax dollars, with little to no oversight? And when you bring it up, they start talking about taxing the millionaires and the billionaires. And we're going to fight Trump, and we're going to abolish ICE and hands off our children. Why would that? A principal booked, these principals is out of control, okay? A principal booked a suite at a luxury Las Vegas Strip hotel away from the conference and stayed an extra day so he could bring his non-employee spouse to celebrate their anniversary. The principal booked the suite an extra day without requesting approval. Bring him to the front. Bring him and his non-employee spouse to the front. Bring him to the front. We want to know, why did you feel like you could book a suite at a luxury Las Vegas Strip hotel away from the conference for your anniversary that we had to pay for? What made you think that we should pay for your anniversary with your non-employee spouse in Las Vegas? Bring them to the front. Bring them to the front. At least 24 employees took round-trip tickets to Las Vegas. Flights costing more than $1,000 each. Bring them to the front. All these people need to be fired. Okay? All these people need to be fired and pension snatched. There's nowhere in the world they should be nowhere near any school. Matter of fact, they should all move to Vegas. They should all move to Vegas because Vegas is a spot. Okay, Vegas is a spot. They should all move to Vegas and do what they need to do there. Now, we're going to talk about the overseas. More than $142,000 in CPS funds for 8 schools to travel overseas to Finland, Estonia, Egypt, and South Africa for trips that included excursions centered around cultural and educational site visits and conventional tourist activities. Optional tourist activities including a visit to a South African game park, a hot air balloon ride, camel rides, and a visit to a bazaar. 15 international professional development trips for staff, with 12 of those never submitted for approval. Please send all the people who, for the staff of 12, that never submitted the approval, bring them to the front. One trip was even rejected by the Office of Finance, but the employees still travel anyway. How did they get the money? How did they get the money? If the Office of Finance said no, and they still travel anyway, how did they get their money? I know they didn't put no reimbursement. I know they didn't put no receipts in to get reimbursed, and they still reimbursed them. Who's head of Office of Finance? Shout out to Sam Pellegrino, the Manata. These are really good. Now, these expensive trips do nothing to fight the high teacher absent rates. So not only do y'all not come to class, and y'all are just as absent as the students. That's why the teachers don't know nothing, or the students don't know nothing, because y'all absent. But y'all are taking expensive trips while you're not teaching our kids and getting paid. Jail. This is prison. One high-ranking CPS administrator questioned why overseas professional development trips were necessary, asking, why can't this be done in the United States? Abuse has been seen during local or even virtual conferences when multi-day education retreats were less than 50 miles from work sites. CPS employees booked spa resorts and large hotel complexes. The Inspector General report showcased a culture of entitlement. When a conference was offered virtually, only one employee attended. Since the scandal has happened, CTU President Gates took over in 2022. CPS employees have wasted $18 million in taxpayer money on travel. That's why she's gone right now. She's on a medical leave. The Inspector General's report was released to the Chicago Board of Education on June 30th. On October 29th, CPS announced a travel freeze to curb non-approval travel. The interim superintendent and CEO the freeze CPS continued commitment to responsible financial stewardship and prioritizing resources that directly support classrooms and students. Ms. King, I do like Ms. King. I feel like she's a good CEO. She got dragged in some BS, and they thought that Brandon and Stacy and Jackson thought she was going to swing for them, and she didn't. So they trying to, if they haven't gotten rid of her, they are trying to get rid of her, which is messed up because she actually might be the perfect superintendent until, her time is up or whatever. But I feel like the only reason they're not going to keep her in there, they're going to try to move her around, is because she is not with the BS. A temporary freeze is not enough. Chicago needs to be implemented immediately. Changes need to be implemented immediately to prove to taxpayers they are more than a vacation fund. Changes should start with converting vacant buildings into professional development spaces, requiring approval for professional development seminars out of state, and considering local options, requiring employee attended conferences in Chicago when possible, instead of an out-of-state location, switching to flat hotel and airfare maximums, which can more easily be monitored, and require employees to pay anything over those maximums, setting flat dollar allowances for meals. CPS employees have broken the trust of taxpayers by fraudulently spending money for personal benefit. This $23.6 million should have been used to help students close pandemic achievement gaps, not so educators could live large in Sin City. I absolutely agree with that. And shout out to Lily Rossi. I was saying her last name right. She wrote this. She's a policy analyst from Illinois Policy. And she hit it on that nail. I mean, it's sickening. It's beyond sickening. Now, I know you know about the hundreds of cases of sexual abuse cases. It's hot. It can't. It won't stop. Uh, let's see. This lady had reached out to us. A couple of people have reached out to us about the. Hold on, let me get it to y'all. You got to get them out. You got to get them out, man. If you don't get them out, it's gonna continue to be bad. All right.
Parents.
After this commercial.
Reinforced concrete.
Here we go.
It's an incredible thing.
Hey, fellas, I saw some work getting done at the middle school. Is this related?
I don't know.
Just had a question about the wiring inside
Okay.
there.
Let's go.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto with us.
We'll be back, fellas.
We won't.
Now, NBC5 investigates. Over the next 3 nights, we will share with you the results of our months-long investigation, Lessons in Betrayal.
Former students say time and time again they felt they were groomed into sexual relationships by teachers or administrators, all from one Chicago public high school.
A complex investigation by the Inspector General into many of these teachers has dragged on now for years. Here's investigative reporter Bennett Haberly.
I feel like as a student, going to school should be a safe place where you have adults that have your best interests at heart. That didn't happen here.
High school hallways are full of memories. Former students from Little Village High School say theirs include teachers and predatory behavior.
A lot of us have been hiding for years.
He had asked me to perform oral sex.
Predators love to choose their prey. Everything, and suddenly I was facing the fact that I was groomed, like something like I didn't even think this could happen. Like
NBC5 Investigates spoke to 12 former students, both on and off camera, most who asked that their identities be concealed. Each of them told us they either witnessed, were approached, or were groomed into sexual relationships with teachers or administrators here. In most cases, they alleged the sexual encounters happened shortly after graduation. But for others, it started while they were still students.
I just feel like so taken advantage of. I feel like there were signs. I'm sorry.
All of the women graduated between 2009 and 2019. Their allegations involve several former teachers and administrators, and behavior, they say, went unchecked for years.
It's pretty easy to target pretty much anybody at that school.
Is that what you think happened here?
I do.
Our review of hundreds of pages of emails and school discipline records found that since 2017, at least 7 teachers or administrators have resigned or been fired from Little Village High School. The women also shared with us these emailed updates showing the district's Inspector General's office is conducting an ongoing investigation into adult-to-student misconduct in which they were an involved party.
Tell me sort of what happened and why you want to come forward.
She graduated in 2012.
What happened?
And within a year,
this is the 31st Annual Golden Apple Award.
Ana Solano began an open relationship with her former teacher, Dennis Katz. a Golden Apple Award-winning educator and attorney who taught sociology and ran a legal clinic at Infinity High School, one of 4 smaller schools that make up the Little Village campus. Anna shared with us photos, Facebook chats, and airline tickets that she says chronicle their 4-year relationship. It ended, she says, because she wanted monogamy.
And then unfortunately, I found out I wasn't the only one.
In April of 2022, she made this Facebook post claiming she was groomed.
That thread kind of blew up, didn't it?
It went viral.
Nearly 250 comments and shares. Former students began posting similar stories. One wrote, I was nearly 250 comments and
what they like to do. All right. That I don't know what happened, y'all. But let's go back
shares. Former students began posting similar stories. One wrote, I was supposed to stay quiet. Another post full of expletives claiming she too was manipulated by Cass. She and posted
that
22. She made this Facebook post, Facebook chats, and airline tickets that she says chronicle their 4-year relationship. It ended, she says, because she wanted monogamy.
And then unfortunately, I found out I wasn't the only one.
In April of 2022, she made this Facebook post claiming she was groomed.
That thread kind of blew up, didn't it?
It went viral.
Nearly 250 comments and shares. Former students began posting similar stories. One wrote, I was supposed to stay quiet. Another post full of expletives claiming she too was manipulated by Cass. The women spoke to Chicago police, alleging that Cass told them nobody can find out about him having a relationship with a former student because it would jeopardize his job and legal clinic. Chicago police took the reports but closed the case as non-criminal, noting it was being handled by the Inspector General's office.
So I graduated in May or June of 2016, and I think we slept together in December 2016.
Former students, including this woman, tell us Cass's classroom discussions challenge students' thinking on monogamy, marriage, even sex.
And he would consistently use the reference of flavors of ice cream. Why are you stuck on vanilla when there's chocolate and Oreos and rainbow or whatever?
He would just ask stuff like, you have to try different flavors of ice cream to see what you really like.
Other students we spoke to showed us messages they received from Cass expressing interest in meeting up shortly after they graduated and were 18.
So I definitely think that this was a scheme, panned out, that started in high school and panned out outside of high school, only to make it a lot easier for somebody to fall into that trap.
CPS pulled Cass from the classroom in March of 2022. He resigned the next month and was placed on the district's temporary do not hire list while the investigation into misconduct was pending. We tried calling and looking for him at listed addresses. His attorney emailed us saying Cass would not comment and that his client privately expressed concerns to the OIG about certain aspects of the investigation and that he remains hopeful the Inspector General will find he did not engage in conduct violating CPS policies. He's not alone. In just 8 years, 5 teachers and 2 administrators, all from the schools that make up Little Village High School, have been accused of misconduct.
They would tell me that it looked like he was eating me with his eyes. That's what they would say.
This 2019 graduate alleges the former Infinity principal, Charles Smith, would leer and make comments to her and other students.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
Internal records from the Inspector General obtained by NBC5 Investigates indicate that Smith and Michelle began exchanging calls and texts 2 days after she graduated, including on July 1st, 2019, where the report shows Michelle sent Smith 26 text messages He sent her 42. Weeks after she graduated, she alleges they had sex.
He just went to the bank afterwards and decided to give me $100 for me to spend on myself something nice.
In February of 2023, Smith was removed as principal and resigned months later amid an investigation into allegations of serious misconduct. He too was placed on a temporary do not hire list while his investigation was pending. And in the interim, he got a job here at this middle school in Elgin as an assistant principal. On his application for that position, he was asked if he was ever the subject of an allegation of sexual misconduct, or if he resigned from a position while an allegation was pending or under investigation. He marked no for both.
Hi, this message is for Mr. Smith.
We have not been able to reach him, but we did hear from his attorney, who provided us with a statement that says in part that Smith fully cooperated with CPS in this lengthy investigation, and that once it's completed, he's confident the accusations will be unfounded and he will be cleared of any allegations of wrongdoing.
I don't think anybody should go through what I went through.
Attorneys representing these former students acknowledge the cases present a challenge for investigators because most were 18 and graduates when the alleged sex occurred. But they argue that shouldn't matter, that their clients were groomed long before that.
The number of male educators at that school that were doing that is staggering.
I mean, the culture that we're looking at here, we have multiple different administrators and teachers that are grooming and preying on students and sexually abusing them is just beyond the pale.
Attorney Marty Gould filed this lawsuit against Brian Crowder, the former dean at Social Justice High School on the same campus as the others. He's charged with sexually abusing a student and posing as her stepfather so she could get abortions while underage. He's pleaded not guilty. His attorney says he looks forward to his day in court. Their lawsuit doesn't stop with Crowder and claims there were several teachers and administrators at Little Village High School who were grooming and sexually abusing students.
How would you characterize what happened to you if you had to choose a word?
That's a very hard question. I mean, I would say abuse. Like he abused me.
District records show the Inspector General substantiated allegations against Brian Crowder and 2 other educators from Little Village High School. But a large investigation into Cass, Smith, and others is still pending, meaning there has been no finding of wrongdoing against them. That report, by the way, is expected to be finished in June. We wanted to know what exactly has taken so long. The Inspector General told us that due to the breadth and nature of this particular case, it required a lengthy investigation.
These young women so brave to come forward and tell their story.
Yeah. And so that's the main issue with CTU and CPS, the cover up of the sexual misconduct cases that we are paying for. We're paying for these. I want y'all to look at this because they did finally some weird people out here, man. Woo. Hey, you see how the other guy didn't get locked up, but he did get this dude right here.
One of his students.
Investigative reporter Bennett Haberly has been following this story closely for months now. He reports from the Layton Criminal Courthouse.
It took the jury less than 3 hours to convict Brian.
Hold on.
Guilty on 4 counts. That is the verdict in the trial of Brian Crowder of Chicago Public Schools dean accused of sexually abusing one of his students.
Investigative reporter Bennett Haberly has been following this story closely for months now. He reports from the Layton Criminal Courthouse.
It took the jury less than 3 hours to convict Brian Crowder on 4 of the 7 counts he faced, including
sexual assault, and aggravated criminal sexual abuse. He showed little to no emotion as the verdict was being read, and moments later, he was led away in handcuffs. Throughout this trial, prosecutors argued before the jury that Brian Crowder has tried to evade accountability for years. They claimed, as the former dean of discipline at Little Village Lawndale High School, that he abused his position of authority and trust to form a sexual relationship with the student when she was just 15. They told the jury how Crowder posed as the girl's stepfather so that she could get 2 abortions while still a student. His defense team argued that this was a circumstantial case and that the now former student tried to extort money from Crowder. The state's attorney's office pointed to a series of text threads and a paper trail of receipts showing that his phone number was on the waiver at the abortion clinic and that he took time off from work on the same days the student aborted her pregnancies. The prosecutors left tonight without commenting. Afterwards, we did speak with Crowder's defense team.
Has your client accepted responsibility for the guilty verdicts?
He pled not guilty, and he's going to explore all avenues of post-trial relief.
Including appeal?
Yes.
Crowder has a status hearing set for Tuesday. A sentencing date has not been set. Reporting from 26 in California, Bennett Haberly, NBC5 News.
All right, so he was sentenced to 22 years in prison, and but I want to say that's our issue. So it's been over 500 plus cases of abuse that have been actually reported. It's probably more than that. By CPS employees spanning multiple decades. This includes teachers, coaches, aides, and substitutes who had direct access to students. Investigations found that many allegations were not reported to authorities as required by law. Some employees continued to work with students even after multiple complaints. And the systematic administrative failures, the Illinois Inspector General review revealed inconsistent investigations, poor documentation, and failure to protect students, showing that the system prioritized reputation over safety. Now, it's very, very hard to find anything on the sexual abuse cases. Because they're underage. So as if you're underage, that's the same situation with Epstein files, a whole bunch of stuff. When you're underage, by law, you cannot, put it out there. They would have to put it out there, like the students, the former students who came out to discuss what was going on and stuff like that. But CTU and CPS, they're not going to come out and talk about those things. They're just going to continue to push the police brutality and defund the police because they don't want to discuss what they're doing over here, and that is sexually grooming our children, pushing our children to challenge the system in the most ridiculous ways, as far as communism, socialism, telling them to walk out of school, getting them prepared for things like the No Kings protest because there's not nothing else they can talk about. They thought that the Alex Antifa Preddy and Renee No Good, that was going to do something, but that didn't do what they thought it was going to do. So now we're dealing with that. As I told you guys, we're suing CT. I mean, we're suing CTU. I wish we could, but I really wish that a lot of people would sue CTU. But we are protesting CTU, and today was day 11 for CTU. But the other day when we were there for CTU, we saw. In fact, I didn't even know this was. Jesse Sharkey. So hold on. I just feel like I don't be having enough time, man. I don't be want to be taking up all your time, but man.
And they want to defund the police from the citizens.
All right.
They want to call
So this was on Friday.
and now they're calling the police. The same police they told us to defund, now they're utilizing them. These are such hypocrites. Shame on them. They call police a sickness and they want to defund the police from the citizens, but look, they want to call them. This is a communist organization, and we're getting ready to dismantle these communists.
CTU, you guys have robbed us. You guys have robbed us, and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Look at all these nice cars.
Hey, groomers!
Look at all these nice cars.
The party's over, groomers.
Look at all these nice cars.
The party is over.
New cars, failing kids. New cars.
This guy right there probably makes 200,000.
Absolutely terrible.
Chicago kids should be able to read.
Hey, I want you to breathe. Look at that fake shirt. Look at that. And she washes dresses because she knows she's one of the losers. She knows she's one of the losers. She goes to school and the school's empty and she's still sitting in class. What a loser.
Call me Shane. Take the
What a
Shane.
loser.
If they break ranks with the Chicago Teachers
And I'm an
Union.
advocate for
If you don't break ranks with the Chicago Teachers Union, we don't love you. Because you don't love Chicago kids. Take the walk of shame, communist.
I don't let nobody
Oh, he
take
riding the
them
bike. This communist riding the bike. Look at him. Communist of Chicago. Watch their work.
Hey, here you go. Make sure you tell Jackson Carter.
Communist don't Chicago. Come with your suit on. Come on, communist.
CTU,
Come on, communist.
mandatory forensic audit. CTU, mandatory forensic audit.
Take a photo. Take a video. Communist of Chicago. The communist of Chicago. Abolish CTU. Abolish CTU.
Abolish CTU.
So that's Jesse Sharkey right there. And so I didn't realize it was Jesse Sharkey. Someone told us.
CTU. Abolish CTU. Abolish CTU. Abolish CTU.
And they laughing.
Right. So Jesse Sharkey. That's who. Let me get my picture of Jesse Sharkey. I need y'all to understand what we're dealing with. Who are these people? Who are these people? Jesse Sharkey. This is Jesse Sharkey, y'all. Jesse Sharkey is one of the reasons why we are in the predicament that we are in when it comes to the Chicago Teachers Union, because he is one of Satan's brothers. All right, so Jesse Sharkey is an American, an anti-American former school teacher and labor leader in Chicago. From 2010 to 2014, he was the vice president of the Chicago Teachers Union. And in October 2014, he became the acting president of the CTU after the notorious Karen Lewis stepped down as president due to her illness. In May 2019, he and members of the caucus of rank and file educators corps were reelected to their leadership positions with 2/3 of the vote. Sharkey is originally from Maine. He was raised by his mother, who was an elementary school teacher, and he won a National Merit Scholarship in attending Brown University, where he majored in modern American history to try to really compromise American history with his brainwashing and thoughts that he thinks that what American history should be in his mind, which is socialism. He took on an organizing job with the United Steelworkers in North Carolina. And then he came to Chicago and taught at Chicago Vocational Career Academy. During the first year of teaching, he suffered a brain hemorrhage at school and was taken to the hospital. That's probably where the socialism really got into his brain. And then he just went crazy after that. After the 12 hours surgery, he just went ham. He was a member of the International Socialist Organization. And then February 2022, he stepped down and Stacey Davis Gates took over. Why he is so dangerous, Jesse Sharkey, because Jesse Sharkey with Karen Lewis, Karen Lewis was terrible. I don't care what nobody say. Y'all can feel bad for her, like how y'all want to feel bad for Jesse Jackson. But honestly, between these years is when, and with Obama being the president at this time, they literally messed up the education system. They did. There's no way else to bring it up. There's no other way how to say it, but they did with the help of, like I said, Karen Lewis. And I don't know if many of you know who Karen Lewis is. If not, we will update you with who Karen Lewis is. Karen Lewis, I believe they used Karen Lewis, but also Karen Lewis didn't mean us no good because she didn't do anything at all. Make it worse. I picked this picture of Karen Lewis because this is when it got real. Okay, this is when it got real. So Karen Lewis also was an American non-educator, but we'll say educator, a labor leader who served as president of the Chicago Teachers Union and Chicago's division of the American Federation of Teachers from 2010 to 2014. Nearly 20 years before becoming president of the Teachers Union, she was a high school chemistry teacher, probably not teaching them no chemistry. Probably didn't know what chemistry was. That's why she decided to come out here and act the fool. She became a member of the Chicago Teachers Union in 1988. They say initially she disliked the union, with her impression being that they don't want to do any better. Lewis said the incident would inspire her to take an active role with the union. Happened when she was serving on school council and saw a school principal use a position to profit his friends. And so she was like, no, you're not going to profit your friends. I'm going to go ahead and profit my friends. And she ran an aggressive grassroots organization campaign that basically set Chicago back for a very long time. There are people who come out to support our protests, and some come out because they're in their 50s, and they said that the Chicago Teachers Union has been striking since they were children. So they said like they don't never stop striking. But 2012, that was a strike of all strikes. So several Chicago teachers became disgruntled with the local government in 2012, and the mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, who had been elected a year prior, failed to deliver a 4% pay raise promised by the city. In early September 2012, Lewis led the CTU on a 7-day strike. So F the kids, F that they're not learning nothing because it's gotten worse. F any of that, you need your 4% raise promised by the city, right? Lewis led the CTU on a 7-day strike, which was the first Chicago public school teacher strike in 25 years. Emerging victorious, the union softened the proposed teacher evaluation system, prevented the instituting of merit pay, and ensured protections for veteran teachers and phased out schools. Lewis was reelected as CTU student for his second 3-year term in 2013, and similar but smaller walkout occurred in 2016. Now she got up out of here because she needed to get up out of here because they were going to push her to be the potential mayor candidate. But that didn't happen. Thank you, Jesus. And but she was replaced by Jesse Sharkey as CTU president because she was sick, and it only got worse. Only got worse, right? Then you're dealing with Jesse Sharkey, and then who do we have? Who do we have? We have, hold on, make sure I got this together. Go red. Yes, gotta go red. We ain't got no choice. You ain't got no choice. Ain't got no choice. Then you got this crew right here. You got this is the current mayor of Chicago on the left or to your right, but to my left is the Brandon Johnson, and then we have this lady right here by the name of Stacey Davis Gates. I call her $250,000 Stacey or six-figure Stacey because she's making six figures. She's making six figures twice. When it comes to the the Illinois Federation of Teachers, and then CTU. So this is good old Stacey Davis Gates, right? Some people call her. They say she stayed with gingivitis, and she always got some stuff on her teeth. So that's what they say. I don't know, but she is currently the president of Chicago Teachers Union. She is on leave right now, but she grew up in South Bend, Indiana, and she still lives in Indiana, and her kids go to private schools, but has a say on your schools and what you need to do in your schools because they have installed her to be the front for Chicago Teachers Union because Jackson Potter rather continue to be the vice president, but he's really over all of this, him and his mother. So Davis Gates, they say she began teaching history class. I'm not sure if she's ever taught class at all because they say Brandon Johnson was a teacher as well. I just don't. I just can't see it. I can't see it. But she taught history in 2004 at Inglewood Tech, and then in 2008, the schools was closed as part of a series of closures led by the CEO of Chicago Public Schools at the time, Arnie Duncan. And she says that was the day that she became radicalized and lost her mind. Um, and started getting into politics. Now, they said that she was going to try to run for office, but it didn't come out so good, so they decided to run Brandon Johnson because Brandon Johnson also is dedicated to this cult CTU life. that they're doing. So let's see in this file. This is when they did their strike. This was their hunger strike. So this is your mayor, Brandon Johnson. So y'all let somebody like that become the mayor, okay? Another one, it's the group right here. If you watched Illinois Policies, local one, the most powerful union, which is Chicago Teachers Union, you'll see Jesse Sharkey, you'll see Brandon Johnson, you'll see um, Stacey Davis Gates, you'll see a lot of familiar people. They have been pushing this communism in our schools for a minute. They've been doing it for a long time. They prey on our children who are abandoned or have sexual relations with these people and get in. Oh, there's Jackson Potter back there, and get away with it because kids don't know. They think that they in love, and these people are using them, and they're going to stick beside each other just like this, locking arms. So they're gonna ride till the wheels fall off by using our kids. And you have to think, and you always have to go back, and you have to think honestly. These two people, Karen Lewis paid Jesse Jackson $50,000 to walk with her Chicago teachers strike. She paid this man $50,000, and of course he was going to take it. He was not going to take it. And while they were trying to get their civil rights on and their black power and they're for the black teachers and for the black kids, honestly, that's when they that's when they started indoctrinating these schools with socialism, communism, mainly communism. But he didn't care because as long as his check was ready, he was going to walk the line. Or that wherever was going to be a big situation, something big, and get the cameras rolling, we're going to do this. But this messed up the schooling because it was already messed up. That's why Paul Vallis didn't win. You know, a lot of people want to talk about Paul Vallis talks a lot of things, now he wants to talk about the school system and stuff. But even in this book right here, The Fabric of the Community just got stronger. The Metropolitan Leadership Institute and UNO initiative, basically, the Latinos have been set up for a very long time with the help of Paul Vallis, with the help of Mayor Richard Daley, Arthur Peter Scarry, Illinois Attorney General at the time, Lisa Madigan, Paul Vallis, superintendent. He was for Recovery School District of New Orleans. So I don't even know why he was even on this board, but it is what it is. Author Nicholas C. Vaca, Alderman Edward Burke, and Chicago Sun-Times columnist Mary Mitchell. So they've been putting this stuff together. But because we are so black people, I'm talking black people, we are so caught up in symbolism and this and that and trying to be something that doesn't make any sense. This happens. this happened. So he got paid $50,000. He didn't care what they was put in the schools, as long as he got his $50,000. Obama was the president at the time, and who did they have? Who did he have for the Department of Education? Can anyone guess? Does anyone want to guess? Does anybody have the slightest idea? Arnie. Let's see. Your browser has blocked your screen. What they talk about? They probably don't see. I'm probably showing too much, and they like, nah. Doing too much now. You doing too much. They take. You got too much stuff right here, y'all. I'm showing y'all everything. All right. Arnie Duncan. So Arnie Duncan was Department of Education at that time. So while he was making sure, him and Obama was making sure that all of the teachers that were real teachers and grandfathered in and really willing to do the work and help our children and stuff, he made sure that they all had no jobs. And they really messed up the school system. Arnie Duncan and President Obama allowed it with Rahm Emanuel. They did not care. They didn't care because why would Obama care about the school system when his kids are in DC going to Sidwell Friends? You go look up Sidwell Friends and the cost of how much Sidwell Friends cost, and see that's where his two kids went to, smoking. What's it, Malia, whatever. The oldest one, she smoked. She's a chain smoker. She smokes cigarettes. Every time I see her, she got a cigarette in her mouth. And then you got Sasha. But Arnie Duncan was the 9th United States Secretary of Education from 2009 to 2016. Just messed it up. And he also, before that, he was the CEO of the Chicago Public Schools, still was messing things up. He was absolutely terrible. And everyone knew that. Everyone knew that. Everyone knew that, and no one said anything. Like people are saying stuff now, but that wasn't saying anything. So honestly, between Arnie Duncan, Paul Vallis, you gotta look at these schools. Richard Mayer Daley, Rahm Emanuel, Karen Lewis, Jesse Sharkey, Jesse Jackson. Because why would you ever take $50,000? Why would you take $50,000 and our schools is messed up? Like, knowing also you did it because Rahm Emanuel and Obama was best of friends, right? And honestly, they had to kick Rahm Emanuel up out of DC because Michelle Obama really don't care for Rahm Emanuel, which I understand, because who could care for this dude? Anyway, they put him and they made him. I mean, he became the mayor, but the fact that Jesse Jackson never really cared for Obama. Karen Lewis decided to do the strike because Rahm was in there. They knew that Obama and Rahm was like this. Jesse Jackson decided, shit, I don't really care for him anyway. Just give me a $50. Give me $50. I'll walk with you. So you made this big thing while he was in office. Of course, Obama would go to that funeral and be as ignorant as he really is. Y'all just did not see the ignorance in Obama because y'all want to, move away from that. But if you look at Obama, even how he got all of these seats, he is a savage, a terrible savage. He's terrible, a terrible person. But he also is one of the reasons why our schools are the way they are. And you guys continue to praise this man. You guys continue to get this man his flowers, and he shouldn't have not one flower, not one flower, none of them. Literally, they have set our communities back. Like set our communities back, set education back so bad. We're never going to get ahead if our education is not put in the forefront, and it's not going to ever be put in the forefront if you guys don't take this seriously. And how you guys are going to take this seriously is you guys are not going to back any CTU, CPS people. Anybody that's a CTU, if CTU has backed them, you cannot rock with them. Okay, that's number one. Number two is you're going to sign that petition on flipsred.com when it comes to we need to get the feds involved because it needs to be some type of trusteeship because as you see, they don't care about money and how they mishandle things. Now it's an hour and 16 minutes. So I don't want to keep going long, so I got to do a part two. And the part two, we're going to discuss the rest of the scandals of CPS. And but before I end, I want to let you know that Stacey Davis Gates has took a leave of absence. She's on medical leave. Now, word is, and I don't know if this is true, but they say now her stomach has always been kind of just protruding out. And they say she had like a hernia situation. But somebody said also she might be a little bit pregnant too, and they say it might be Brandon baby. This is what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. Everybody say Brandon got a lot of babies running around here. So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if they were just playing with that because her stomach is protruding a little bit. But while she is on medical leave, pending if she's going to go to jail or not, you have Jackson Potter, who is taking over. So yeah, Jackson Potter, who is taking over. Well, he's always been taking over, but they're going to be running CTU until she gets back. But I don't think she's coming back. So you got Jackson Potter. You also have Vicky. We've been seeing Vicky a lot. Okay, now Vicky looks like a little leprechaun. Okay. And Vicky, let me give y'all the rundown on Big Vicky. I'm stuck on them ears, man. I don't know what's going on over here. I ain't know. She be coming in there every day. And we be shouting her name out. The other day when we said it, she was like, how did you know? How do you know that who it is? But anyway, she's a veteran CPS educator. She supposedly has 30 years of teaching and union service, probably more union service than teaching. She serves as recording secretary of the Chicago Teachers Union and has held the leadership roles such as delegate, district organizer, and executive board member. She's been active on the CTU big bargaining team involved in contract negotiations. And supposedly she's a special education teacher, and I just can't believe that. But yeah, um, she plays a prominent role in union negotiations and broader education politics in Chicago, offer advocating for equity, teacher protections, and progressive priorities as part of the CTU leadership. Suppose that's what she's on, right? And so then you got Little Leprechaun, and then from Little Leprechaun you have let's see where the other girl lady at. Diane Castro. All right, so she also will be taking over as well. So it's Jackson Potter, Vicky K, and then Diane Castro. So Diane Castro is the financial secretary of the Chicago Teachers Union. She was elected in 2025. She's a veteran CPS educator, bilingual preschool teacher, and union activist who has risen through CTU's leadership ranks. She has been in CPS and union involvement since 2007, and her leadership roles are around, of course, contract negotiations and equity issues. Over the years, as you know, Chicago Teachers Union has failed to publish its required annual audits for several years, which is a union reporting requirement. Um, Also, of course, in 2025, the U.S. House Committee on Education and Workforce demanded the union explain missing audits, citing a lack of complete financial audit disclosure since 2020, a requirement under federal labor law. As a financial secretary, Castro is responsible for financial reporting and auditing processes for the union, even though she's not doing it. So, but she will be out at every immigration and community defense advocacy. She has been spoken publicly about immigration rights and CTU Know Your Rights efforts. And she also urged attention to CPS budget cuts and risk to jobs in public schools. Not hers, though. She's gonna make sure that she got her job. And yeah, so as a financial secretary, nobody ain't got the answers to the audits, but she pulls up every time we protest in a nice electric car. Looks like a nice electric car. Might not be electric, might just be a regular car. But it's very nice. There's a lot of electric cars over there. But she pulls up in a nice car. We got uh Leprechaun Vicky. She has a nice little Subaru. And the fact that she's a school teacher in a special ed for the union, and this is the picture that she decided that she wanted to take with poison ivy leaves tattooed on her chest. I mean, she just looks like uh, somebody that should not be teaching nobody. And so she looks like she belongs in like a reptile forest or something like that. I don't know. All I know is that these people should not be nowhere near the kids, man. I disagree. You know, that's what I agree with. But yeah, so hit between Jackson Potter, Vicky, and Diane, they are running CTU and him. They proudly have a Brandon Johnson uh, yard sign in one of the windows up there. So that's how confident at the Chicago Teachers Union Center. That's how confident they are that they're going to get back in. Their people going to get back in as long as they continue to back things up. The issue is they should not have any political say in anything. They should not put any political funding in anything. They should not, and that's the problem. Um, and we are going to make sure that that they don't. If you guys have not signed the our petition, I want to drop it right here. So far, we have 224 signatures, which is a blessing. And I hope that more people will sign the petition and share it. Like I said, if you want to remain anonymous, you can. I'm not going to put you out there or anybody else out there for that. I know how this place plays. I know how this city is, how scary they are. So here is the petition. I just put it down here in the links. And that's it. So yeah, so I'm gonna do part 2, part 3, but I just wanted to come in to let you know about the CTU and CPS. But the overall issue is with CPS and CTU is they are one big, everything that they are pushing and saying about uh, Trump and about the Epstein files. Let's talk about the CPS files. Let's talk about the CTU files. Let's talk about all the sexual misconduct cases that we are paying for. And they are okay with it because they're going to befriend our children, your children, into their weird world and try to normalize grooming and sexual grooming and think that they can get away with it because they are so no. All people can sign. All people. So no. Not just Chicago CPS parents. No. No. CPS taxpayers. Yeah. So no. So we want all Chicago taxpayers, all Chicago parents, if possible, all Chicago residents, and people who are not from Chicago but just stand with the teachers union. This stands with Chicago Fits Red and despises their teachers union in their cities and states. And honestly, if you have a teachers union, I know California unions are pretty bad. No, LA's union is pretty bad. Start one, you know, start one. But we're going to have to do this in numbers. Next week is primary day, March 17th. Please pull a Republican ballots and vote red. Now, I understand that a lot of people say, well, this is not on there, this not on there. We don't have that many Republicans running in certain districts. You may be in a district that a Republican is not running in. But we need that governor seat, we need that U.S. senator seat. We need some state reps and some state senates, like Dave Dewar says all the time, the 8-5 strategy. Because yeah, we can get a Republican governor, but if we don't get any state representative seats and those state senate seats to really be able to go in there and vote the way that needs to be voted in our way, we're going to be protesting a lot. We're going to be protesting a lot because the Democratic Party needs to understand they're not going to continue to control this city with the Chicago Teachers Union, anything like the Chicago Teachers Union that wants to bring communism and normalize sexual abuse in our schools, because they don't have to report it, but be quick to point out a police officer's wrongdoing in a minute and okay with it. It don't work like that. So thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. Like I said, I'll be doing part 1, 2, 3, 4, probably on CTU and CPS, and also with JB Pritzker, and other parts of the Chicago machine to let people know how corrupt this system is, and we, the people, have to change it. And we will change it, and we are changing it, and just keep at it. We'll be very adamant about it. Continue to fight, because at the end of the day, this is our tax dollar that are going to nonsense, and our children are not learning anything, and they're going to continue not to learn anything if we do not start speaking up. Peace.